All rise for Judge Aboites. Good day. We are gathered here now to decide whether or not Chasing Happiness, the documentary, either challenges or confirms a Marxist reading. First to take the stand is Miss Alexis Gazalpa.
Thank you, Judge Aboites, thank you. So, everybody, I'm here to proclaim why Chasing Happiness does confirm a Marxist reading, although my opponent may disagree. So, first of all, Chasing Happiness confirms a Marxist reading as, if you think about it, all that it does is reinforce the dominant power structures and keep those in power, and those without power, without it. Now, you ask why? Well, it is because the documentary subtly reinforces a state where people can only achieve happiness in their own power level by ensuring that they are too preoccupied to try and destabilize existing power structures. So you can say, well, Miss Alexis, what proof do you have? First of all, look at their interviewees. The fact that all of them have good jobs, university professors, happiness speaker, someone good in politics who's also a university professor, suggests that the middle class, intelligent and privileged people are the only ones that can be happy. Or not only ones, okay, that's unfair, but suggest that they're the ones most likely to achieve happiness, you know? Now, as I mentioned before, this is because a positive psychologist, a politics criminologist professional, and a happiness speaker reflect that they are all well educated and experts in their field who have more knowledge on the subject of happiness than the audience do. So, how does that affect it in any way? Because this puts the audience in a position where they are still without power, because they are looking at the people with power to get advice on how they should be happy. So, now you look at that. Wow. So, they are getting, the audience, all of you people, getting advice from the middle class on how they could achieve happiness, suggesting that they are the ones the audience should look up to achieve it. Now, and you tell me this doesn't do that. Try and prove me wrong. So, now, not only are we talking about the interviewees, but the voiceover as well. As you can hear, the voiceover has an upper middle class English accent. So, that voice of God suggests that people of a higher status are more likely to achieve happiness because she is stating, because this accent, the accent of the voice of God, is telling the audience that she is someone of an upper class who's already achieved happiness. So she's telling the passive audience how to be happy. Wow. That's not all people. No. The use of montage further proves my point. This is because the montage footage of the different locations specifically LA, New York, and London, are all identified and resemble wealth. First of all, as you can see here, the shot of the Hollywood sign, Pacific Park, and the Hollywood Walk of Fame are all areas in LA that represent stardom and fame. And LA is a home to many celebrities who a lot of people look up to. By including this in their documentary, they are suggesting that the only way to be happy is if you learn and respect the people who work and live in Hollywood, because all of this is just a dream, as everybody dreams to be a star and be in Hollywood, when in reality it actually can't happen. Now, secondly, look at these shots of New York. Now, we have Times Square, we have Central Park, Tiffany's. They all portray the life, the wondrous life of a New Yorker. Now, only the rich people can live in New York, because the other ones stay in Brooklyn, don't they? No offense. But, just learn from Gossip Girl, everybody. Now, specifically, so New York, specifically Tiffany's, because I went into that store and I did not realize how expensive everything is there. But anyways, New York, specifically Tiffany's, promotes the idea that money and wealth are the key aspects of happiness. And to achieve happiness, you need to be wealthy. Let me tell you, you don't. So, although the whole documentary may promote the idea that everybody of any class can achieve happiness, this clearly shows and goes against what the ideology of the documentary is trying to promote. Okay? Now, this suggests that the only way the audience can be happy is if they work to achieve and work to earn enough money to live in the major cities, to feel like they're part of the upper class. So this strategically keeps those in power with power and those without it. Because let me tell you, it's very hard for people to achieve this if they've started without it. But they are kept in a state of constantly endeavoring to improve themselves, thus distracting them from direct action. Lastly, to keep it short and simple, I will be telling you my last reason why my argument is correct. Okay? Now, look at this low angle of Big Ben. What does that suggest? Well, it suggests that the audience should look up to and aspire to be like the members of the British Parliament, who are members of the upper class. So, by having this shot of Big Ben, all of us audience, are made to believe that the only way to achieve happiness is if we learn to be and respect members of the upper class. Therefore, all of these shots shown in the montage, as I have just mentioned, are different locations that will make us audience want to keep working to achieve success and power. But, in fact, let me tell you, we will be too busy working to destabilize existing power structures. Therefore, this documentary shows and keeps those in power with power and those without power without power. So, Miss Lily, will you, your turn, now try to prove me wrong, honey? Because it ain't happening.
Now I call Miss Lily Vander Woodson for her opening statement.
I'd like to thank Miss Judge Aboites for being the best judge in the world, may I add. Now, I'd like to focus on a main man big Marxist guy, sociologist called Theodor Adorno. Now, Adorno says that we should focus on our true needs as an audience. So, this basically means the basic things we need to be happy as humans, i.e. food, water, happiness. Therefore, we need to ignore our false needs, and these false needs could be money, having the biggest house, having the nicest cars that anyone has ever seen, or just generally trying to look amazing and being fit all the time. These false needs that I'm talking about are controlled by the mass media because they promote these so that they make us feel like we need to get them, so that we buy into their products. It makes us as people feel as though things like success and money are what we really need in life, when truly that is not the answer, I personally feel. He then goes further to say that as an audience we are passive. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not always a passive audience. I don't always sit there and just agree with whatever they're telling me. And this results in us not questioning why or what is the effect of this media product that I'm looking at or that I'm watching. Now, when you truly look at Adorno's theory of false needs, you can easily see that the production of Chasing Happiness clearly by a landslide, absolutely just challenges Marxism. In this production, they focus on a range of different things that can make each individual happy, and the aspects of their life that really makes them just a truly happy person and what they think is success. And then happiness becomes more of a individualistic idea, more subjective. And therefore, they may not, as every human, they may not be following the society's expectations of what happiness and success may be, as they form a different opinion to what the mass media will be telling us is happiness, is success. And this can be shown clearly by evidence A. This is, as you can see, by the use of thirds on the screen, that shows that each individual has a different aspect, or that each individual has a different view of what happiness is for them. That not everyone has the same idea, otherwise we would just be using simply one person for one shot. And this shows us that no matter where you are within society, you can still personally achieve happiness. You can still personally achieve success. And this also is highlighted by the fact that each of these individual people are different ages. So they're at different stages within their life, and they're going down different paths in life. And it proves that no matter where you stand in a power structure, you can still achieve happiness, as I said before. These shots highlight the equality of happiness in all individuals that make up society. This destabilises the hegemonic ideology that only people with power, success and money can achieve happiness and be successful. I think it's vital at this point to highlight the fact that this production, Chasing Happiness, completely deconstructs and destroys how politicians say what happiness is. As with one of their speakers, Sundari, in her section, she manages to draw attention to the fact that different political groups have different constructs, and different constructs leads to having different aims, to make you think and believe in the different ideas that they seem to be presenting you with. This is because she talks about the fact that if politicians try to make society more equal, then we would have a happier, less violent, may I repeat, a happier, less violent, and therefore more content society. She then highlights, importantly, that others say that if politicians did this, then in turn we are taking away any happiness from the rich. Finally, she then concludes with saying that while many want to keep society happy, it can be difficult as a result of the different groups defining exactly what happiness is in different ways. For example, left-wing politicians. Left-wing politicians argue that happiness comes about as a result of equality and justice. And while, on the other hand, you have right-wing politicians. Now, they say that when individuals are supposedly free to do what they want and when they want, the state doesn't intervene in this. Therefore, when looking at this, we can see the documentary Chasing Happiness is questioning the government, and it isn't exactly following the ideologies of the mass media or the ideologies filtered down from the state. Now, I'd like to draw your attention to the artwork that is leaning against the lamppost in this particular shot. This very particular shot. As with this use of a simple material, you see the cloth and it's just drawn only with pencils. It challenges a Marxist reading. Now you may ask why? Why does this challenge a Marxist reading? It's simply a piece of cloth with pencils on. Well, that's my point. Because it shows that you don't need the best things in life. You don't need the equipment that they tell you that you have to use, easels or a full paint set or the next type of pencils. This is what a capitalist society that we live in teaches us, that we do need these things, when truly we don't. We just need a pencil and a piece of cloth. And the amateur nature of this artwork also suggests the trappings of capitalism are not necessary to be talented. This shows that no lack of money and success can restrain you from doing what makes you happy, from following your intuitions, from following your own intuition as to what makes you as an individual happy, you members of the jury happy. And as it is not shown in the art gallery, as this piece of painting is not shown in an art gallery, or the individual is not being paid to do it, it connotes that creativity can have no limits. So as my final statement, I would like to say, we can see that this product of Chasing Happiness clearly promotes an active audience, not only from what the speakers are saying and what the voice of God is saying, but also from what shots have been cleverly put together and edited into this production. Now, if this doesn't say to you, active audience, I don't know what will. Goodbye.